Thank you all for being here. Wow, what a week and a half Roanoke has had. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for all that we've accomplished. I didn't see him here, but special shout out to Eric Danielson and his crew and Ben Spiker and all the KPAD team and everybody that showed up to come out and Saturday. I know it was a wet day, but we did well. Our invocation today is going to be led by David Spangler.
I'm honored always to pray to my Lord publicly before others, especially with friends like you. I also realize and respect that all of you might not share my religious faith. Therefore, I would like to pray for my Lord's blessing upon our meeting today in the only way that I believe my prayers will be heard, and as is custom to my personal religious faith and practice. Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for the awesome KPAD Saturday we had, and look forward to the live auction this Saturday. Thank you for the beautiful Roanoke Valley in which we are blessed to live. Thank you for the lunch we've had and the hands that prepared it. And we always pray for our speaker. And so we pray for John Lugar as he makes his presentation today. And it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dave. Our song leader today is going to be led by Bill Bestfitch.
Thank you, President Clark. Now, if you've seen the lyrics on your table, some of you are probably thinking we should have sung this song last month. But if you've noticed, the April showers seem to be extending themselves right into May. It looks like we're going to get some more this weekend. And besides, the real meaning of this song is never let the weather decide whether you're going to have a nice day. Judy? Though April showers may come your way, they bring the flowers that bloom in May. So if it's raining, have no regrets, because it isn't raining rain. You know it's raining violets. And where the clouds sit upon the hills, you soon will see crowds of daffodils. So keep on looking for a bluebird and listening for his song whenever April showers come along.
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. So Lee Learman's going to introduce guests today. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Jeff Forlines from First Bank and Trust, and his host is Kevin Reeder. Would both gentlemen please stand up? Welcome to Kiwanis. It's a pleasure to have you.
I'll take the paper. Thank you. We do have a few announcements today. I'm going to bring Ben Spiker up to talk about our KPAD.
I can't tell you all how proud I am of what happened on Saturday. We had key clubbers from Faith Christian, Roanoke Catholic, Cave Spring, William Fleming, and the advisor from William Fleming. I met her. She was there as well. We had Shriners there directing traffic. We had our action club there in force. We had the majority of the people in this room in force. And as a result, it was all just a terrific success. just a terrific success, and you should give your all a round of applause. We'll have a celebration on the 24th. A little talk about numbers. John has already escaped, including Saturday's turn-in. Sales is above $55,000. To date, the auction, the silent auction, is at $3,700. I had a meeting with Chuck Baker, our auctioneer, for Saturday, and he assures me that we're going to blow through our goal. And those are his words. Now, I know Chuck is a salesman. Haley has it for less, but I believe him. And he said that Sam Lineberger is going to write even bigger checks this year. So I just wanted to update you on where we are. The auction again, Saturday at Twisted Track, should be a really good time. Everything is kind of flowing along. Check out the auction page if you haven't. There's some new items that have been added, including a lake house at Smith Mountain Lake, which I think you'll find to be absolutely beautiful, donated by Jamie Bailey. So that it should be good. And thank you all again. I just can't express how pleased and proud I am with this organization and its performance. Thank you all. Sherry, would you like to tell us about the fun day? May 21st? Good. I love it.
All right, it's a treat to have our Joe Gaither with us, who is leading the way for our Spring Fun Day. So I'm going to turn it over to Joe Gaither.
I want to greet all the Kiwanis today. On May 21, we're going to have a lot of fun. Everything is going to be burgers, hot dogs, everything at the playground. From 11 to 3 is the place to be. We're going to have a good time. DJ going to be jumping, and everything is going to be pumping. So I'm anxious to see everybody. They're going to be planting flowers from 11 to 3 hours. And you know, it's going to be so great because the Kiwanis is going to be flowing all day long. So y'all need to be in the house. Don't miss it. You need to be in the house. Amen. From 11 to 3, that's the place to be.
All right. So don't be a mouse, be in the house. I knew Joe would have a rhyming thing going on there. So look on your table, because we actually need you to roll up your sleeves. If you can do that for us, is join us. We need help with planting and digging. You can get in the soil and get your hands dirty, or you can be at the Kiwanis table and be the host with the most and just welcome folks to our Kiwanis table. So please do sign up. I've delegated this to Mr. Joe Gaither, is going to come around at the end of the meeting to pick up your sheet. So take a look at what time of day perhaps you could sign up to help. Thank you. Don't be square, be there.
Thank you, Sherry and Joe. I just had a quick announcement that the foundation board is meeting today at 1:45, and I'm going to turn it over to Mike McAvoy.
Thanks, President Clark. Ooh, wow, that is loud today. So as Clark mentioned earlier, we had a great week last week with scholarships and prayer breakfast, thanks to Jackie and team there. And of course, Cape had Saturday, and then this Saturday we have the auction at Twisted Tracks, and then Joe and Sherry were just off to tell you about our event on May 21st over at the playground. So you may be thinking to yourself at this point, what am I going to do in June? Well, I've got something for you. The Ironman competition is back in Roanoke on June 5th. And if you all recall, if you volunteered last year, we supported an aid station. So this year, we're going to do something different. We're actually going to help with registrations on Saturday, June 4th. And there's 2 shifts. There's a morning shift and afternoon shift. And we need about 20 Kiwanis. I think 2 or 3 have already signed up. The link to sign up on that is on the website, on the calendar. So go to the calendar and take a look at that. And I'm going to try to send that out to everybody as well over the next couple of weeks. But we need some Kiwanis to sign up. It's going to be a big year for the Ironman here in Roanoke. Last year was their first year. And because of COVID and different complications, they had about 15 to 1,600 athletes competing. This time they think they're going to be fully subscribed at 2,500. So a lot more athletes in town. It's going to be a bigger weekend. So we need everybody to pitch in and help with the registrations. Thank you. June 4th is the registration. It's the day we're going to volunteer, and the race is actually on the 5th. So, thank you.
No, sure.
Oh, good afternoon again. Just want to take a quick minute. I think this has been one of the busiest weekends Kiwanis has ever had. We had back-to-back events, and the turnout to all of them was amazing. Even at the prayer breakfast, there was 93 people here. That was amazing. And the prayer breakfast, we had 62 brave attendees that got up to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I just want to say thank you to some people. I want to thank Joyce and John Montgomery for handling the sign-in, and I want to thank my co-chair, Dave Hartman, for arranging for a lot of the facilitators, the keynote speaker, and also setting up our Zoom meetings. So thank you, David and Sherry. And I want to thank Tom Miller for being our moderator for probably the 4th or 5th time. He's a great moderator. And Judy Clark for her music. Judy's been, I think, at every prayer breakfast we've had playing. Excuse me. And also for the Kiwanis that served as facilitators, David Bowers and Steve McGraw, thank you. And Amy for a great breakfast. Amy knows the dietary requirements for all the different faiths and religions, and she was complimented at the prayer breakfast for that. So we thank you, Amy. It was great. Everything went very smooth. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for all those that sold tickets, because without you, we wouldn't have had the prayer breakfast, and all of those that attended. Thank you very much.
Hi, Michael Proctor here. I've got a couple announcements. The first is about the Monday's Environment Committee meeting. Every one of you is invited. A couple dozen of you are already members of the committee. The rest are welcome anytime. What we do is we talk and plan for environmental projects that the club then carries out. Please Zoom in with us if you care to. Don Witt is not here today. He's in Norway, but he wants you to take that piece of paper off your table and put your name on it so you can come out on May 27, and we're going to be putting some interpretive signs in along the Greenway. And the most important part about that project is every one of those signs has our Kiwanis logo on it. Yay for that. So sign up, help us come out, put in those signs. Good project. Moving along, we need some technology help. There's still a significant number of our club members who join us on Zoom. That takes a lot of labor. I'd like at least one of you to approach me after the meeting and tell me you know something about live streaming on YouTube. Live streaming on YouTube. I'd love to chat with you and learn from you how that might help our club. Please approach me after the meeting. All I need is advice. Moving on, KPAD somehow happened in the rain, and it's setting records. I had my video camera going the whole day. Many of you will star in the KPAD video I'm producing. You shall be ever referred to as talent. You know, at this phase of life, self-delusion is mighty important. Lastly, how many things does this club currently have going on? You get a steady stream of us up here announcing stuff. And the answer is a lot is going on. Now, this is a self-serving question. Where can you go to find a complete and accurate list of everything the club has got going on? The where? Well, go there, please. Thank you.
Does anybody else have an announcement that that they thought of or needs to say anything? All right. Well, we do have plenty of time for brag bucks. Brag bucks for $2. Members may speak for 30 seconds, and we're happy to include this charge on your next invoice. We do have John Bradshaw has a brag.
Last Saturday morning, I woke up about 6 o'clock. And I said to myself, hey, it's time to go and open the trailer. And I looked around and I was in South Carolina. I had retired. I turned my check in months ago to Eric. And I'm here today to celebrate my tour with pancakes. My first pancake, we had it over below Towers Shopping Center on McClanahan. And there were about 2 or 3 old men that were youngsters at that time, my being one, that were trying to find parking places in the little lot for all the people that were there in that tent pancake day, the first pancake day. And then we moved over to Tanglewood and had a big tent. And they had a hose, a garden hose that ran all the way from the front of the shopping center back to Kroger's to bring the water in to mix the pancakes in. It's a wonder the health department didn't run us off. And we had borrowed some tables around there to put the grills on them. And I think a few of them fell in. And I went home and made 10 wooden tables that we still used them last week since that second tour. And I did it in the garage and with my little saw and my little hammer, and they worked real well. And then later on, I kept going and doing things, mostly in the cook tent, setting it up, tearing it down, and being the Navy chief, trying to boss everybody around. But this last time, I found that I was getting too old to lift the grills. So I had to retire. But back in 2007, I got this award. Would you like to read the award?
This says the first annual KPAD John Bradshaw Unsung Hero Award presented to John Bradshaw, June 13th, 2007.
Now, I've had it hanging around my office for a while, and I don't remember anybody else getting one. You don't give them out anymore?
I'm not aware.
Well, it's a valid one, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm bragging about it. But all of the times that I've been out there and unloaded the truck and packed the truck, and all the times I set the tent up and put the wiring in and patched my tables and did all the others and acted like a Navy chief telling somebody to do this and somebody to do that. I'm sure I ran 1 or 2 Kiwanis off, but I would like to make a memorial to the foundation in name of all of the people that assisted me in those years as being the boss of the tent. And here's my donation to the foundation.
Thank you very much.
That's a hard act to follow. But I'm going to introduce David Hartman.
Hi, I wanted to add my thanks and appreciation to all of you who helped in the prayer breakfast. Amy, Judy, I know Dave Bauer gave a wonderful prayer. JC, you were a facilitator, I believe. We thank you for that. Steve and all of you that participate. But my brag buck is really for Jackie. Jackie, you are just wonderful to work with. Thank you for all you did to help this occur, and thanks.
All right. Covered every detail so amazingly. It was wonderful. My brag buck, so you can double bill the Hartmans here, is actually on Dr. Lee Learman, who, while we were busy flipping the pancakes and getting them out the door of the tent, he was busy graduating 41 of our wonderful medical students. So congratulations to you, Dr. Learman.
Dr. Learman, thanks for all you do, the medical school.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bruce Swanson. I wanted to especially thank Ben Spiker, Alex Barge, and myself, Mike Bell, and others, mixed pancake batter the entire day of the KPAD event. And we would have been uncomfortable, except that Ben brought the perfect pop-up tent for us and also gave us the moral support and leadership. So I want to thank Ben especially for a great success. Thank you.
I'm Tom Miller. I was working in the bowels of the Civic Center in the kitchen. You don't see any of us, but we're there. We're working hard. We had a little bit of different setup this year, though our Civic Center purchased a brand new dishwasher, which was much needed, trust me. Because it was brand new and because much of what we wash downstairs in the kitchen are greasy sausage pans, they asked for us not to use the nice brand new dishwasher and provided us with an alternative, some sinks over in the corner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. From 7 to 10 a.m., there was a group of 4 people that worked that area and kept the place cleaned up. Once they left, there just didn't seem to be as much activity going on, and we didn't need to do it, but they were handling things. And it just happened that it was Sherry Hartman. Won't surprise anybody who the team was. It was Sherry Hartman, David Hartman, Ken Briggs, and Luke Young. And those 4 got us off to a great start washing the dishes. I'm here to brag on them. I will say this, I wish you could have seen Sherry's face when she arrived at 7 a.m. and learned that she could not use the dishwasher. It quickly went from a frown to a smile. And in her normal way, she jumped right in and they worked out a system and it worked swimmingly, smoothly, and I'm bragging on them. And in honor of the 4 of them, I'm going to make a $100 donation to the foundation to thank them for getting us off to a great start in the kitchen on Saturday.
Sam Lineberger, just a quick double brag. First on the Mill Mountain Star. It's been sitting up there majestically for a year now with our name in front of it. I'm hoping that some of the business leaders in their room will knock us off. If not, I'm watching and am prepared to bid, but in all honesty, I'd love to see it. Other businesses take advantage of the wonderful opportunity that we've had for a year to sponsor the Star. So please, pay attention to the auction and share it with your other business leaders that are out there that might be in a position to bid on it. Second brag is on John Lugar. We've had the pleasure of working with John for a number of years now. And as honest as I can be, there is not a finer businessman in the Roanoke Valley. So, John, thank you.
Steve McGraw, first to brag on J.C. Taylor, who is the quality control expert in the cooking tent every year. He makes sure every pancake is correctly done. Thank you, J.C. That's a big contribution, man. Other brag is on Ken Briggs and Jackie Bledsoe. When I arrived at the prayer breakfast Thursday morning at 6:45, Ken was already out there directing traffic, but he had a complaint. He said, Jackie called me at 6:15 and wanted to know where I was.
Wow. That rarely happens, does it? Ken, you're usually the first one right there. Our program today is John Lugar and from Graves Humphreys to Varsity Park. And I'm going to bring Dave Perry up to introduce him to the club. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Good afternoon, everybody. Sam stole my thunder because I was going to say that John is one of the most community-minded businessmen in the Roanoke Valley, without a doubt. And I say that in all seriousness. John's a friend and a fellow co-conspirator of mine. And I'm going to take my glasses off so I can read my notes here. But John is the founder and president of Virginia Varsity Transfer, which is a national moving company, and Virginia Varsity Storage Incorporated, which is a 5-location operation, and most recently, Varsity Park. He is a Roanoke native, graduated from Cave Spring High School, Radford University, and Virginia Tech. So he covered his bases there. John is married and has 2 sons. His talk today, I'll preface it a little bit here. In 2019, the Virginia Varsity companies bought the Graves Humphreys property to build a new Class A storage facility and to renovate the iconic but dated Graves Humphreys building. The 2-building complex has been reintroduced as Varsity Park, and John is here to tell that story. John Lugar.
Thank you, folks. It's so nice to be with you. And Mike, we have a system in place for the PowerPoint, which we'll have right here. And hello to everyone on Zoom, and thanks for that introduction and saying the kind words. So we're going to talk about a lot of things here, actually. And Mike, let's go ahead and move it ahead 1 slide, if we could, please. Why Graves Humphreys? We've been looking, our company had, for a storage facility, a development site for a number of years, from the Franklin Road, basically Tanglewood area to downtown. And we scoured the Franklin Road corridor primarily. There were not a lot of options. And so our realtor brought us the Graves Humphreys building. And we thought, wow, that's something to look at. That was our first instinct there. So we ended up with the Graves Humphreys building, but it was not a physical attraction, I can tell you. What really appealed, if you know the Graves building and the location, there was a parking lot in the back of the property that a lot of people assume was a city parking lot. And a lot of people parked there for years by custom till the previous owner got pretty adamant about people not parking for free and different things. So what we're really after, Mike, was the parking lot. And so we ended up buying the Graves Humphreys building for the parking lot. It was large enough to do a multi-story Class A storage facility. Those are the nicest ones in the country. And the location we thought was great. It had the right zoning. It was industrially zoned, so we didn't have to go through a rezoning. And the best thing about it, really, to work on the baseball signals. The location with where it is, any Roanoke or anyone that's spent any time, we are thrilled to death to find this location. The storage building is the second building there in the little complex. The Graves is as it looks today. We're going to go back through memory lane here, but it was a location that was close to downtown. It's close to South Roanoke, the whole Franklin Road corridor, the Virginia Tech Carilion campus. Raleigh Court, the Colonial Avenue corridor. It was just in the perfect place. And we have so many customers in these areas. We really wanted to be there. So our first concept, and if you look at this, the date's very interesting. The date is September 18th. That's when we had the first contract. We're moving quickly because there was a competing project up the street at the Kmart we were very briefly involved in, and we pulled out of that. But we wanted to move pretty quickly. So you can see the date is the 18th, September 2018. And our first concept was actually residential with apartments and storage. We were going to marry the two. We looked at the Hieronymus for some time, and we were looking at ways to make it work. But this was our first concept here. And if you'll notice, the next concept is 7 months later. It took 7 months from contract on the building to close it. If anyone knows the seller and the unique situation, it was a very challenging closing there. So over time, it went through a whole iteration for months and months. We kept tweaking the building, the concept, and what it would be until we finally got to the final concept, which is this. And these are the final plans, and a huge thank you to the Linebergers and their team. They were phenomenal, and what we've built would not be possible without what they've done and the patience. And my gosh, I know we're not easy. So thank you guys. So this is the final rendering. This had about 80 pages of construction drawings all the way through it. And the final product that we actually built is this. And it turned out just really perfectly. We couldn't be happier. So this is the storage building we had. When we were thinking about this and what we wanted to do with it, part of the process, we said, all right, we bought the property. We used the parking lot to build a great storage facility, but we had an old, let's be charitable, dilapidated building that its best days were behind it. And so we had to decide, how do we convey, we're the new Virginia RC storage facility behind the old outdated Graves Humphreys or some other, we couldn't make anything work. And so what we had to do here, Mike, was have a new identity. And we had to reimagine the whole community there and the whole neighborhood. We had to think about how people would know where we are. And we just thought the Graves Humphreys, very iconic and historic and great memories. All the years my dad's talked about it and other friends. But it was time, it needed to be rechristened. And so we had a different vision for the business center, which it is now, which we'll come back to. But one thing we really wanted to do in building our storage facility is do something really special. People have different visions of what a storage facility is. And we wanted to innovate and bring something to the Roanoke Valley you wouldn't see anywhere close to here. And so we really started with that to make it the next level type property and to have things in there that would just blow people's minds. So the first thing was the rental office. We wanted to have the rental office very open and very welcoming, lots of glass. We also wanted to have the added benefit of having sight lines to customers, to the loading areas. Everything is contained at the end of the picture here. It's hard to see. There's a loading area and corridor where people funneled through. That was really key. And one of the best things, one of the biggest benefits of being both in the moving business, which we started in 1988, and the storage business in 1999 next to the Linebergers, we have decades of experience in both businesses. And a lot of people are in self-storage and know just self-storage and can do well with it. But if you know the moving side and trucks and logistics and loading and access and space, all those things really go together. And so some of the things we put into here are the results of knowing how those things work. We wanted to avoid bottlenecks. So the top left picture, we have multiple loading access points. We actually, to the bottom right, or excuse me, the top left picture, to the right of it, there's a commercial dock on the backside, a full tractor trailer come back in there. So we can handle anything, whether it's moving companies or business customers. The front dock there, which is the top picture on the right, has multiple locations where lower trucks, if you have an SUV, a pickup truck, or a U-Haul that have lower decks, we can get you in there. We have 3 spots or some on-grade spots as well. We have 2 massive elevators that are some of the prettiest elevators I've ever seen. We just put panels in there. They look super bougie, like you're in a nice hotel. The reason we did that, in truth, full transparency, our manager said, John, it takes 2 or 3 hours to clean the elevators each week, and we're meticulous about cleaning. So we put them in, they look great. We have wide corridors, as you can see coming in. We also added a lot of natural light. People feel more comfortable in a building if you're there by yourself or whatever the case is. So a lot of actual light and natural light that comes in. We added windows at the end of hallways. It's 3 stories, but that makes people more comfortable. We decided it was worth the sacrifice in rentable square feet to make the building as awesome as it could be. So then we said, what else can we do? It's just a storage building, right? Well, we want it to be more than a storage building, especially with the location. And we felt we had a responsibility to the community to deliver something far more than just a financial investment. And so this is where we really started to take that leap to do something really special. And so in the building, we have rooms that are themed after, they have sports themes. And so it runs throughout. We have the Bullpen, which is a meeting space where people can relax. If you're signing a lease and your kids need somewhere to hang out, or if you're waiting for your spouse's moving truck to come from across the country, it's very comfortable. We have HGTV on there. People are ordering things. We have the work center, which is like a quiet little hotel business center, a quiet room that you can pull out the laptop and do work or take a call. We have the space sizer. We developed this at our Apperson location. Usually if someone comes in for storage and they say, well, let me take a look, I think I need this, have 3 rooms. You'll typically show the room you think they need, a space larger and a space smaller, so you can really see it. But typically you'll go find a vacant space in your community or complex. And usually you're traipsing around different buildings and say, I have a 10 by 10 here, I have a 10 by 15 over there. In this case, it's more efficient from a management perspective, and it allows real-time comparisons where you can actually move the wall. The wall floats and you can move it 5 feet. So it saves time from a management perspective. It's better for the customer. And we actually have glass walls on the left side. You can see it Edinburgh, so customers can see it. And it's a marketing piece too. And you also have the roll-up door that you can show people, because most people don't know how to use a roll-up door with storage. So just something we tried to add to take it up a little bit. So then I had a buddy come over and I said, hey, we're thinking about taking a block of the space before it was all committed. Why don't we just put a gym in the middle of the building, and I didn't have a business plan for it at all, but I just thought, hey, that'll be kind of cool. That's how a lot of these things happen. A lot get shot down, trust me. But a buddy came over, Randy Clements, who actually helped land the Ironman for the community. He said, John, here's where you need to do it. I was thinking about the inside of the building. We walked over as it was under construction and looked at Mill Mountain. He walked to the edge of the foundation before everything was ready to go up. He said, it needs to be right here. And that's where we put it. We put a space here, 3,000 square feet, instead of fitness user of some type would be great here. There are a lot of fitness places. People might say it's a competitive business. It is, but no one has the views they have here. If you look at the bottom picture, you can do deadlifts and look out at Mill Mountain and Roanoke Memorial. It's pretty special. So Ferguson Fitness signed on. They came on last year, and they're a phenomenal company, great community just involved. They have the whole families working out there, kids, adults, men, women. It's a great addition. And then we said, what if we had spaces? Because that view, you would stand there, you come out and see the construction site, and you would stare off in the distance and look at the views, and it was just amazing. And so we said, what if you had a space here? And we created some spaces where they're not necessarily hardcore workspaces, but hobby spaces, a place to do yoga, a place to play poker or bridge, or maybe a place just to catch up with a friend. And we have skyboxes, and they're Augusta through Wembley. So they're all based on iconic sports venues, and they've been very popular. They're all rented out. We have 5. So the field house. The field house is a really special place. When we had this location, again, the building is 30,000 feet per floor. It's 3 floors. So it's 90,000 square feet, the largest storage facility anywhere near here. But we had a little extra space. And so we decided we can carve off the prime corner. You can see the view there on the top picture. And we took the prime corner there and created the field house, which is something between an executive lounge at an airport or maybe a luxury box at a sports stadium. But it is comfortable, it's sophisticated, it's the most relaxing, enjoyable place ever. There are 3 huge TVs. We have a wet bar that's built in. It has private restroom. We have a catering kitchen we put into it. It can accommodate 30 to 40 people, and it's just such a special space. And we've done everything from bridal showers, wedding showers. We had an end of life ceremony there where someone was terminally ill, but they knew, and they had about 30 of their closest friends and family. It's a very versatile space. We had March Madness there, the Super Bowl this year, a lot of fun. One thing that's really neat, there are about 50,000 storage facilities in the United States. That number is changing every minute. And there are a lot overseas as well. The Self-Storage Association is based in Alexandria, and that's our national association. We go out to their trade shows in Las Vegas every couple of years. They're very active. They picked up on our facility here and want to do a story. They did a cover story on our property on the February issue, and we had the cover and an in-depth look at it, which we thought was very, very flattering to our team and everyone that helped make this happen. It was pretty cool. So anyway, we appreciate that very much. Lastly, we saved some spaces, again, on the side of the fields facing Mill Mountain. We saved some storage spaces that were going to be storage, and we held them back. We put some windows in some. And our general manager, who was fantastic, Andrea, but she said, John, can we ever finish construction in the building? I said, all right, that's fair. So we have one more block of ideas. We have about a half dozen rooms we're getting ready to build out. And Sam, you guys are, Mr. Lineberger, you guys are helping start this process. We're going to have a private business meeting room that'll be great if you need a small Zoom meeting or a small place to meet privately with discretion. We're going to have a sky lounge that's going to serve the sky boxes that are in the neighborhood in that area. We're putting in a locker room and a shower. We already have the shower in, but a locker room business basically where someone can come rent a locker if you're a runner, and you could park at our building, change, go hit the greenway, come back, shower, and return to work like you never left. So kind of discreet. That's getting ready to come out soon. We're talking about putting in a studio for blogging and a variety of things like Etsy. We're looking at putting a Peloton studio in one room, the cave, the bottom. We might do a card room. That's kind of a discreet place where people could come play cards. So we're working all these things through, but these are the fun things we get to do now. This is just a blast, and we have such a good creative team that's kicking all kinds of ideas around. So that's it for the storage building. Let's talk about Graves Humphreys and in-laws. Mine are great, but I just want to address the stereotype that there's some parallels here. So when we bought the property, as I mentioned, it was one property, 2.2 acres. We wanted the parking lot. Frankly, we didn't really want the building, but we had to buy it. We had to buy it to get the parking lot. And then we said, maybe we can subdivide it. Maybe we can give it away to a charity. Maybe we can do something. And it's sort of like in-laws. We were after the parking lot, and the building came with it. And so what do? You make the best of it. You hope you have a good relationship. You work on it together, and that's what we've done the last couple of years. We figured the storage building out, which was pretty complicated and involved in a lot to it, but the Graves building was incredibly challenging. First of all, it was a mess, a complete mess. And it offended us when we bought it. We were embarrassed to own it. So we pretty quickly went about trimming things back. Actually, the under the tunnel there on the right as you pull down McClanahan, that's not actually our property, but we maintain it to keep it right, to get it right. So we cut all that back. There was an old highway sign across Franklin that the city had wanted to take down forever. They didn't have full cooperation from the previous owner. And we said, what do we need to do? Got that down. There were trees growing into the building. The awnings over the railroad siding were just falling apart, and they looked awful. So we went about changing things. Mike. So we did a number of things. We pulled the awnings off there. We cut the loading dock back. They're really more docks, sort of old school docks. And so we cut it back far enough where it could serve as a loading dock for Johnson Granite and Appliance Studio, who were tenants in the building when we bought it, who were fantastic. So we made that work for them. You can see their trucks there. So there's actually, it's blocking the door behind that first truck. There's a roll-up door there that goes into their showroom where they can take in stock and that kind of thing. But we put on coping on the top of the building, basically big molding to give it some personality instead of such a boxy building. We pulled off all kinds of extraneous things and piping and conduit and what have you. There were air conditioning units on the front awning. My wife said the first thing, can y'all take those? Can you move those somewhere? So we did. We took them to the roof. Thank you. And so we got into, we took the old awnings back. These are older awnings. We took those down. We started to paint the building. And the paint, it's amazing what paint can do. They always say that. But painting a building like this, it just felt like it was a new beginning. So the inside of the building was even worse. So it was outdated. There was not a whole lot of upkeep. I think there was a lot of deferred maintenance, which we inherited 100% of that. And so it just didn't look right. The old school, I don't know what era the tiles are there in the foyer, bottom left, 60s or 70s. That's not really the style these days. So the basement needed some work. And that was one of the elevators. So I like elevators where you push the button and it just takes you to the floor. And you just, that's the kind we were after. And so the engineered training program for 2 weeks to work this thing. So nothing worked. Everything was out of service. It was not meeting code in any respect. ADA was not in compliance. You didn't have all the egresses right. You didn't have working elevators. So we had originally thought maybe we can go in sort of in a basic way and not go in too deeply. Maybe we can do a budget type update, and there's no way to do it. There's no way to do it right. And our company just doesn't do things that way. So what we did was first went about saying, all right, we need to make sure there's proper air conditioning and heating throughout the building. There was not. So that's step one. We put in new bathrooms that are really sharp. The bathrooms there were frightening, in my opinion. And I'm a guy. So its standards are different, but the bathrooms were just appalling. So we updated the bathrooms. There are 4 new bathrooms upstairs. There's no ADA ramp for anyone with a disability or in a wheelchair. And so we actually, this was extensive, and we had to cut through the floor and cut through beams to create this. This was not the most economical solution, but it was the best solution to make the whole lobby flow. And so we actually cut it through all kinds of things. And again, a tribute to Lineberger Construction to make it happen. It was pretty complicated, but that picture in the middle, the floor is still covered up, but it turned out great. And then finally, we bought a new elevator, which was something. So the new elevator went in there. And so we handled all the functional things. And I guess lastly, if you remember, there used to be a big power supply across Edinburgh that connected and powered the building. And if you listen carefully, you could hear it sizzle. So we thought that should go. And so we put in a brand new transformer underground. So the whole building, we could have bought a couple of trucks for that, but we repowered the whole building for the next number of decades. So here's, we really updated all the office spaces. We created some new spaces, fresh carpeting, fresh lighting. We wanted it bright and just a sophisticated palette, but comfortable. It has sort of the same color scheme that we have at the storage facility with the iron ore and the white and the Revere pewter. We try to keep as many elements as we could from brick walls. We have a lot of columns that are iron columns in there that are neat. So it kept some really neat elements to it. And we're thrilled to death with how it turned out. We just had last week 3 new tenants move in. We have another one that's being built out right now in addition to the folks that are there. So next, REBA. This is the Rivers Edge Business Association. So we, with some other businesses in the area, like George's Flowers and Wayne's Imported Automotive, we came together to put together a very loosely organized business association to talk to the city and advocate for our businesses, for the community, and some of the issues we found down there, and just community-minded issues. And so first and foremost, the Ramada. And we talked to the city about the Ramada from very early on. And I don't think we can take credit for it happening, but we certainly, they knew where we stood, and we encouraged them, and we applaud them for what they've done to buy it with FEMA funds and getting creative. So we really appreciate that. It really was an issue where you would see interactions with kids and families and young parents and people that were, for whatever reason, needed help or whatever the case may be. So it's really been a good thing. We're also talking with our group. We meet tomorrow, actually, and a couple of representatives from the city will be there. We're talking about parking on Edinburgh because parking there is not super well thought out originally. And so they're looking to add 18 parking spaces immediately once you turn on the left side, on the park side. So they've been very receptive and we think that's going to happen pretty soon. So what all is at Varsity Park right now, and it's growing. This is not a comprehensive list, but Johnson Granite has been there again since we bought the building. They're absolutely fantastic. Wonderful showroom. Appliance Studio is in there with them, and it's really impressive. But be careful if you go in with your spouse, you're probably going to leave a little bit lighter in the wallet. It's but it's worth it. Happiness is worth something. So the Ferguson Fitness, those guys are great. They work out on the field entrance. We put an entrance on the back of the building that serves both Ferguson and the field house. And so you'll see them out there in the park and running drills and doing all kinds of things. Our storage business there, that's Jim, our manager, who's great. Skybox is there, a field house in the middle. And we actually just opened a private podcast studio that we put in the business center. And we have a good friend who's a podcaster. He's done 40 some, the Hank Luton Q. And he was so great. We let him use an old closet. And at some point we said, we can make this a little nicer for you. So we just are getting ready to open up the Varsity Park Studios. It actually has a green room and everything so that you can sort of say, he's not ready for you yet, you know, and kind of play that kind of thing. So it's exciting stuff here. So lastly, here's a little photo collage of Varsity Park and the business center, especially on the front end of things and how it looks today. I'm glad to take any questions, including on Zoom. But Mike, you'll help coordinate that, right? Okay. Yes, sir. Sure, sure. Bill asked about, it looks like there are additional spaces to lease in the building and what spaces might be available. And thank you for that question. So we have, I believe, about 14 rentable spaces in the business center, again, the former Graves building, and we have roughly half of that leased. And so we still have a handful of different spaces there. We have the front building that you see as you come up at the corner of Edinburgh and Franklin, probably the prettiest building, the two-story, that has the full first floor for 4,000 square feet, the second floor for 4,000 square feet. And there are a handful of other spaces inside that are as small as maybe a couple hundred square feet to something a little larger. So we've had a lot of interest there. So we're on the board and it's rolling along. But one thing we're looking at as well is doing a collab type of flex space in 3 of the offices where it could be something for short-term rentals. If someone's in town for a week or a month, we could have an office set up if you don't need it for years type thing. So thank you for your question. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, thank you for your question and the question for our Zoom folks. Let's see, you remember seeing us in 1988. You didn't think we had much of a chance, and most people didn't, believe me. And what do we attribute the still being here for all these years? A great team of people. That's everything. And learning from your mistakes. Something that I think is really important and something that was very key at developing Varsity Park is don't make the same mistake twice. Be open-minded, don't have sacred cows. And so starting a moving company is just, when you're 18, you don't know anything. And so there's really no framework, and we didn't have a business plan at all or any money. So the only thing I knew to do, my partner at the time, I had a partner for 2 years, is you have to be really, really, really good to get repeat business, to not have claims and issues, because we didn't have financial strength. We had no reputation. And one thing I did know is, even then, is how easy it is to get a bad reputation and how hard it is to get a good reputation. So we knew that. And so we have one shot at this. We don't have the financial weight or marketing savvy or whatever. We have to be really good for customers every time. And we still believe that. And, or if you have a misstep, address it quickly and get it right and take care of things. But commitment to the customer is everything. And everything we've done here, I love talking about this and I like to geek out. This is right in my wheelhouse, but ultimately what we're doing is taking care of customers, and whether it's storage customers at the storage facility, which we think is the best, most unique, great location, or our new folks that are coming in as office tenants or whomever it is. Taking care of the customer is everything, and having great people to do that. So we close. Yes. Okay. Zoom will be next. Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, super. So, and that was recent, right? 3 weeks ago. So the prayer rally at the park next door. Well, we were, frankly, I was not aware of the power side of things. Glad to do it. And that's the thing. Our people are so good. They handle, they're so good with our folks, and we're very community minded. So I'm very glad that worked out, and glad to be a part of that. So Mike, the Zoom question.
Yeah, this is Vern Daniels. You said that varsity is in multiple cities. Are you just the Roanoke part, or are you a multi-city operation?
Well, thank you for that question. Our headquarters is here and always will be, and we are located, we operate out of our Apperson office near Lewis Gale Hospital. There's a little office at the road you can see, that's our storage office. The storage and moving companies are technically operated separately. They're like separate divisions. So the moving office and headquarters is hidden away down the hill, just on the same campus, but down closer to it. So our moving company is nationally licensed in the 48 continental states. So we can operate anywhere, bring people back here. We can move someone from Nashville to here. We can move from here to California. And so we're national on our moving side. On the storage side, we're in Christiansburg currently, and we're looking at expanding into a few other cities that are under consideration right now that very well may happen. But our base is here and base of operation. Any final questions? Hearing none, we're good. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, John. Wonderful presentation, and love how you have brought that eyesore back up to to a beautiful part of the community. As y'all know, we give a speaker honorarium, and John was kind enough to donate that back to the Kiwanis Club Foundation. So let's give John a hand for that. Our next week is going to be Bobby Mountcastle with Point Management and Prime Home Buyers. And thank you, David Perry, for bringing that to us. And the only closing comments I've had is what a team that we all are. And it's been a wonderful week and a half. And I'm so proud of this club. And I also just want to wish John and Joyce and the Don Witt family safe travels, and hope they get back with good stories. So with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.